Greetings, everyone. This is the Hipster Snek, and today I'm bringing us surprise Snekflix. Yeah, no, this is actually probably the fastest time between two of these episodes, right? Anyway, I got the opportunity to watch the Knuckles the Echidna miniseries, and if you want the TLDR version, it's pretty good. I liked it. It was fun. Now, to get more into the weeds, uh, the Sonic and Tails only show up in the first episode, and Knuckles is basically trying to find his place in the world and struggling because he's always lived a life of this nomadic warrior tribe, and now all of a sudden he's in this very domestic situation, and he doesn't fully understand what Sonic tries to tell him about making himself at home in this new world. And he gets himself grounded by building this throne in the living room of the Wachowski house out of random stuff that he finds. It's pretty interesting prop design, I have to say. And so Knuckles gets grounded and has a spirit guide vision from the chief elder of the Echidna tribe, Chief Pachacamac, who's played by Christopher Lloyd, and I did not know this until I looked it up on the IMDb page. It kind of blew my mind. So Knuckles decides that he needs to take on an apprentice. He needs to pass on the warrior Echidna way. And he chooses Wade Whipple, Adam Pawley's character from the other Sonic films, who was the deputy in the town of Green Hills. You remember him as the comic relief character who had some pretty funny bits in Sonic 2 in particular. And so Knuckles takes him under his wing and learns that Wade is practicing for a bowling tournament. And his partner, who was Jack Sinclair, the bounty hunter, played by Julian Barrett, he ends up leaving Wade when he is outbowled by this little 10-year-old girl named Susie. And they decide have this buddy cop road trip thing that quickly goes crazy because rogue agents from Gun, or GUN, I always just said Gun, Agent Mason, played by Kid Cudi, and Agent Willoughby, played by Ellie Taylor, bust in using this black market gear that uses quills that Knuckles has shed in his time on Earth, similar to what Jim Carrey's Eggman character was doing throughout the films. And so there's the action, I have to say, the action in this is really, really good. For a 6-episode miniseries, they really tried to make it look as much like the Sonic films up to this point that they could, realistically. There were definitely some bits where you can tell, okay, they had to dial it back a tiny bit because it was a lower budget production, or that's the impression that I certainly got. But everyone's giving it an A game. I would say every actor who shows up and has any lines at all is trying really, really hard. And that's to their credit. I don't always like all of Idris Elba's performances. I think sometimes he comes off a bit flat, a bit monotone, but he seems to be having the time of his life playing Knuckles the Echidna. I don't know what it is about the Sonic films or the fact that we're getting Sonic 3 and Knuckles this year. Just absolutely outstanding. And the action is generally really, really good. I say generally, I'm going to get to that in the spoiler segment. Hang on. Knuckles and Wade form this buddy cop friendship where they're not really sure of each other. Wade's more relaxed and easygoing and kind of take life as it comes, where Knuckles is much more proactive. I want to go out, I want to prove that I'm a warrior, I want to train my apprentice, and we will great victory. Victory is his big thing. There's some really good exchanges between the two characters. There's a great chemistry. I wasn't sure it was going to work. When I heard the concept, I was a little dubious, in part because Wade doesn't get a whole lot of screen time in the first 2 Sonic films. After I watched this series, I immediately rewatched the Sonic films. And Yeah, no, like they're still good. I still like everything I said in my reviews of those films still holds up. Only downside is like James Marsden doesn't show up. Like Tom's character is said to be out of town, but Tika Sumpter shows up in episode one, and she's having a blast. It's obvious she is. I was sad that she wasn't really able to do anything, but if she got to do a whole lot, Sonic and Tails would have incentive to do a whole lot. And this is supposed to be the Knuckles series. Okay, that's fine. That's fair. We also get to meet Wade's family. Wendy Whipple, his mother, who's played by Stockard Channing, and Wanda Whipple, played by Eddie Patterson. And I apologize if I'm butchering any of your names, because I'm just reading this off IMDb. And it turns out that Wade comes from a Jewish family, and Wendy has like this friendship with Knuckles. It's a weird thing to even talk about. Like this Jewish mother is having this conversation with this red space alien echidna, and it works. It actually works. There's this camaraderie between them because Wendy being a single mother of adult children who no longer live at home, suffers a lot of complex feelings towards her family, and she struggles to deal with the fact that Wade still kind of has this hero worship towards his father, who left him at a TJ Maxx store just kind of inexplicably. And Wendy even tells him it's like his specialty was making people love him up until they aren't useful to him anymore. So there's a great setup, and Knuckles actually like has this weird like half understood bond with her that I actually thought was really really cute. And if they bring Wendy back in Sonic 3, I will not be disappointed because she was actually a lot of fun to see on screen. And so there is one episode, I think it was episode 4, where things go off the rails a bit, and it's a little odd. And I don't really feel like this show would have been poorer for not having it. Actually, let me comment on this. It's 6 episodes. Each episode is like 30 or 33 minutes if you count like the opening credits and the closing credits. And there's a lot of really good music choices for those credit sequences, by the way. It's a weird thing to harp on, but thank you for making it half-hour episodes. I don't like this common trend, and Netflix kind of spearheaded it, where it's like, oh, our seasons are 10 episodes long, but they're all an hour long. So you're not ever going to clear it in any decent time. I was able to enjoy the entire mini-series front to back in like from an early morning until like around lunchtime. So I actually appreciate that they did that, because I think the brisker pacing helped make the story work and not feel prolonged and dragged out, which it easily could have become. Because honestly, this miniseries, the thing I can compare it to the most, it shares more in common with the movie Dodgeball than it really does with the Sonic movies. Which is funny to say because it's in direct continuity of the Sonic films, and they even talk about them a little bit. Now the common phrase is, oh, the events of San Francisco. It's like, it's their... like how the Avengers were always like, oh, after New York. Now it's like after San Francisco, because Sonic is now a publicly known figure, and as a result, so are Tails and Knuckles. So I'm going to move into the spoiler segment here. So anyone who wants to watch the series or has any interest in watching the series, just stop listening now. It's good. Go watch it. If you liked the Sonic films, you're probably going to enjoy these too. There's nothing to lose. It's good. All right, they gone? Okay. So let me address the elephant in the room. Episode 4 turns into a rock opera, which seems to be the thing, right? With Alan Wake 2, rock opera is just spontaneously happening in an otherwise non-rock opera setting. It's not great. I don't love the song, but I don't hate it, to be fair. Now, the really funny thing is it's supposed to be some backstory for Knuckles in this universe. And they actually have Wade play Knuckles for the sake of the rock opera, and Jack Sinclair Bounty Hunter shows up as the narrator inexplicably. It's the most random thing. They probably didn't even need to have it, but I'd be lying if I said that episode didn't have me in hysterics the entire time. Like it's genuinely funny. It's like it's so out there. I don't know if I'd laugh if I watched it a second time. I've only watched it once so far, but the shock factor alone was worth the reaction. Just really really interesting choice. So there's this whole bowling tournament, and in the last couple episodes, they get to Reno, Nevada, and once there, the movie feels the series rather feels a lot like the movie Dodgeball, like I said. And I think that the biggest thing is they even have ESPN 8 The Ocho show up, which I think is a real thing now. I don't follow sports, but like I've seen it on TV now and then. I think it's actually like a real thing, and they're making really similar kind of like sarcastic jokes about it. Like I remember they said something like, "Oh yeah, it's bowling. It's America's baseball for people who don't want to be outdoors," or something like that. And the thing that got me was we actually get to see Wade's dad, who is this like masterful professional bowling expert, Pistol Pete Whipple, who's played by Carrie Ellis. He was the guy who was the lead character in Robin Hood Men in Tights, at least as far as my cinematography goes. He's been in more stuff than that, obviously, but like it was surreal because the joke is he's putting on a fake British accent and he's supposed to be an American, but he's being played by a British actor doing an authentic British accent. Really kind of a mind screw there. And they have this thing where like the entire time they're being chased by the agents, and around like episodes 4 and 5 they kind of vanish and then they come back for the finale, and there's this crazed bounty hunter slash not really a bounty hunter. I think he was like a black arms dealer. He's just credited as the buyer, played by Rory McCann, and he's this estranged gun agent who was basically betrayed by them due to Robotnik shenanigans in the films. And he's like, I'm just gonna make like the ultimate weapons by stealing the power from Knuckles the Echidna, and then basically making it into like these weapons that I can just sell and retire a multi-billionaire. And so Knuckles is doing the heavy lifting during the combat segments. The Wade does get a very interesting infiltration mission, which was really well done, by the way. Really, really well choreographed stuff. So then at the end, you have Wade's climax for his character arc going head to head with his dad in the bowling tournament as Knuckles is fighting against the buyer. And then the two end up, of course, joining forces after the bowling tournament. And Wade kind of has his realization where he's like, we're friends now. We're honest to God friends, and I'm going to stand by my friend. I'm going to do everything I can to help him. And honestly, it's very heartfelt. It reminded me a lot of Tom's speech in the first Sonic film. And just really, there's a lot of heart. And I think that's the best way to describe Knuckles the Echidna, the miniseries, was there's a lot of heart in what is ostensibly just a very silly action comedy designed to tide people over until Sonic the Hedgehog 3 hits theaters later this year. But I think it succeeded. It was very good. It was very entertaining. It had that same kind of energy, that same kind of, wacky cartoon animal mixed with real person doing weird and unexpected things, just like in the Sonic the Hedgehog films. It doesn't get into anything serious, kind of like more like Sonic 2 did. It stays very lighthearted and very fun. In fact, there's even a bit where they steal the hat and the coat from the bounty hunter, and Wade takes the coat and Knuckles takes the hat, and it's the same hat he had in Sonic the OVA. Like, someone on staff was a fan. Because that's obscure. Like, not many people remember Sonic the OVA, like some early 90s anime, like 2-episode long mini movie thing from before Sonic had any meaningful continuity behind it. So, like, hats off, so to speak. That kind of brings everything to a close. It was good. I enjoyed it. This whet my appetite for more. I'm excited to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Apparently, the script is written on gold tablets and silver lettering because the more I learn about its production, the more unreal the movie becomes. So I'm glad that Knuckles was good. And the one last thing here in the spoiler segment I'm going to bring up is they talk about the flames of disaster And Knuckles has it. I'm like, wasn't that the thing in Sonic 2006 that like retcons itself out of the story? Like, I don't know where they're going with that or if that will even matter. But I was really curious that they brought it up at all. Anyway, this has been the Hipster Snek, and if you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe, and all that other shilling stuff I am obligated by law to do. It will help me out a lot, and I'm glad you guys listened to the very end. Go enjoy Knuckles the Echidna. You should. It's good. It deserves it. You deserve it. And I'll see you guys next time.